This is my 2012 Porsche Cayenne, and this is a 2021 Porsche Macan. So today, let's compare Porsche's two SUV offerings. Alright, so I initially filmed this 4 years ago to answer the question, is it worth buying a newer Macan versus a slightly older Cayenne at around the same price point? And now, 4 years later on the used market, values for both of these have declined significantly, and this question still stands. So with that, let's start with the most obvious difference between the two, which is size and pricing. The Macan is Porsche's compact SUV, and the Cayenne is the full-size sibling, and with that, the Cayenne also carries a larger price tag. Now for reference, MSRP of a brand new Macan starts at about $63,000, and the new Cayennes by comparison start at roughly $86,000. But through the power of depreciation, you can now get a used Cayenne or a slightly newer or slightly higher trim Macan for a very similar price point secondhand. And right off the bat, these are both good looking, well engineered, and very well built vehicles. Power figures are going to depend on the trim level and the exact year, but my Cayenne as a 2012 base model starts at 300 horsepower, with the 2025 Turbo Cayennes going all the way up to 650 horsepower. And this 2021 Macan base model has 248 horsepower, but the gas engines go up to 434 horsepower, plus a brand new fully electric version of the Macan putting out an insane 630 horsepower. Both of these also carry the Porsche crest, meaning that your friends will think that you either sold your kidneys or started running a drug cartel in order to afford one, despite the now obtainable price tags on the used models. Both of these will also have similar maintenance costs, with Macan parts being slightly cheaper, and both will have strong reliability. Now the question will be undoubtedly asked that if you get a newer or lower mileage Macan, will it need less maintenance than an equally priced Cayenne? And in my opinion, as long as you get a well cared for example, the answer is probably no. But always inspect a car properly before buying it and make sure you do your due diligence. From the driver's seat, both of these share very similar interiors, with the Macan having a slightly tighter cockpit, but even so, at 6'2", I still have ample room in both of these, and both of them have excellent ergonomics. However, that story changes a little bit in the back seat. So the Cayenne is not exactly spacious, but it is manageable for full-size adults, specifically with regards to having ample headroom even for taller passengers. Whereas the back of the Macan has room for people who skip leg day and amputees. With the front seats in a comfortable regular seating position, you can see that my fist spans nearly the entire distance from the front of the rear seat to the back of the front seat. So yes, the Macan as a more compact SUV does have less space. That is also true in the trunk, though the Cayenne doesn't exactly have the largest trunk either. Either way though, these are both really nice interiors. They both use great materials, and as you can see here, the Macan's interior is clearly a lot more recent, with an almost 10-year age gap between this one and my personal 2012 Cayenne. The most obvious difference in my opinion is the updated steering wheel. I absolutely love the look and feel of this new design, and perhaps the most critical update is changing the shift buttons on the old wheel of the Cayenne to the up and down shift paddles in the Macan. On my 2012 Cayenne and on these older style Porsche wheels, there is a shift button on both sides of the steering wheel that can shift both up and down. Now intuitively, you want to squeeze on one side to shift down and squeeze on the other side to shift up, but that is not how those buttons are set up. In both cases, you pull it to shift down and you push it to shift up, which means one side has to pull for the downshift and the other side has to still push for the upshift. It feels entirely unnatural to me, but fortunately this was also resolved on the newer Cayennes. And perhaps my only gripe with these interiors, which I want to make clear is very nitpicky, is the placement of some of the hand controls behind the wheel. Now the shift paddles are placed perfectly on the Macan so that I smack myself in the cuticles every time I uncurl my hands, and the cruise control buttons on the Macan are annoyingly close to the shift paddles. There's not really a ton of clearance, and when I go to hit one, I often hit the other. Like I said, this is really nitpicky. I also have this complaint on my Cayenne where the cruise control was too close to the turn signal stock, and there are several occasions over the last 5 years where I've accidentally blinded oncoming drivers when trying to disengage my cruise control, but instead turned on my high beams. Somehow, I feel like the Macan's placement is even worse, especially for my freakishly sized hands, but that's probably not going to be a complaint for everybody. Going back to the tech though for a second, the Macan here does have Apple CarPlay, though it does not have Android Auto. But either way, you can play music via Bluetooth, which is apparently technology that Porsche did not find important in 2012. There's also other tech updates, so there's an external lock or unlock button that has a proximity sensor within the key. There's better parking cameras, and they've also cleaned up the center console a little bit by eliminating a lot of physical buttons in favor of using the touchscreen. Now, the only button that I really missed that bothered me was the lack of a radio scanning button, because that also cannot be controlled via the steering wheel. That said, if you're only using Bluetooth to play music, that's not a huge deal, but for this one being a loaner car, it was a big deal for me because I was not syncing my phone. Ultimately though, it is a newer car, it has newer tech, and it's got a bunch of minor refinements that come from years of improving on an interior design. The layout is still generally the same, but the only other minor differences I really see between this and the older Cayenne are there's no grab handle in the Macan, the cup holders on the Macan are slightly deeper, and this one specifically has ventilated seats, which is an option I never knew I needed in my life before this moment. Now you might be wondering why I specifically mentioned the depth of the cup holders. I have a single nice insulated cup. The deeper cup holder in the Macan definitely secures it better, especially during spirited driving, and to compensate for this, on my 2012 Cayenne, Porsche basically increased the spring pressure on these little flaps that hold your drink in place. The problem that I specifically have with it is that was enough pressure that it scratched my one nice cup before I was able to break that in. I have also had taller water bottles go flying out of this during very aggressive cornering, which I fully expected to happen given what I was doing to the car, but in the 5 years that I have owned this Cayenne, there's only been one unexpected instance of a cup falling out of this cup holder and coincidentally directly into my lap. Fortunately for me, that was just water, it was nothing hot, but that occurred during some light off-roading going down an old farming road. But overall, both of these interiors are great. They've aged quite well in my opinion, and for comfort and materials, they both use very good materials. The Cayenne does feel a little bit more isolated from exterior road noise with more sound deadening, and in my opinion, it also rides more smoothly. And that's not to say the Macan is bad, it's just not as comfortable as the Cayenne is. Both are very comfortable and reasonably quiet at highway speeds, but that difference in isolation becomes a little bit more apparent on the highway, especially when you're riding next to a large truck such as an 18-wheeler. Now, between the sound deadening and the larger size, there is a weight penalty to the Cayenne, which, depending on the exact year and trim level, is typically around 500 pounds heavier than a comparably equipped Macan. For reference, the Cayennes typically come in at about 4,700 pounds versus the Macans coming in at about 4,200 pounds curb weight. This weight difference is also one of many reasons that the Macan gets better fuel economy. Now, it's not a huge difference, so for example, my Cayenne and most Cayennes for that matter average roughly 19 miles per gallon combined, and in my experience, the similar spec Macans typically see about 22 miles per gallon combined, although that was with some more spirited driving thrown in. Another contributor to the fuel economy difference is the transmissions. The Cayenne uses a ZF 8-speed automatic, while the Macan has a 7-speed PDK dual clutch, which is lightning fast and really helps to hide the gap in power between the two. But so far, these are all pretty much paper specs, and you don't drive the paper, you drive the experience. So really, what does this all mean from a driving perspective? Well, simply put, these two SUVs are both a pleasure to drive, especially if you value driving dynamics. I have now owned my Cayenne for more than 5 years and roughly 50,000 miles. I've taken it on extended road trips, high-speed runs, mountain drives through sun and snow. It's been through mud, balanced on 3 wheels while towing a trailer, and one time, completely by accident, it's even been airborne. And it has taken all of that in complete stride. Simply put, this is an immensely comfortable cruiser at any speed with excellent steering, excellent driver feedback, and does everything that you ask of it. Porsche's traction and stability control are borderline witchcraft, and they allow these SUVs to perform maneuvers that are more agile, more rewarding, and more confidence-inspiring than not only every competing SUV that I've driven, but also more than most performance sedans or entry-level sports cars. If you're used to driving cars at the limit, you will be able to feel the weight difference of the Cayenne, especially as you push deeper into braking zones or transfer that weight mid-corner to change directions. But that is not its only trick, because it is just as happy to cruise slowly, comfortably, in near silence, and in a way that hardly fatigues you, if at all, despite you piloting it for several hours or hundreds of miles. And it can do this while towing up to 7,700 1,100 pounds, which is more than some full-size pickup trucks from the same era. Genuinely, this is probably the best vehicle that I have ever owned and that I may ever own. It's also equally capable both on and off the pavement, despite being stereotyped as a vehicle for the soccer mom who is still desperately clinging to her fleeing youth and who refuses to accept the onset of wrinkles when we can all very clearly tell the mobility of her facial muscles have decreased inversely to the increase of the size of her lips. And while those Botox injections may not age well, this Cayenne has, and it has been an amazing vehicle in every single aspect. And the Macan, well, it's a little bit less spacious in the backseat and the trunk area, but that smaller size means less weight, like I mentioned before. And less weight means it's more agile, it's more eager to be tossed into the corners, and as a result, it feels like a much more nimble driving experience. Now, I do want to point out that you really don't realize how heavy the Cayenne feels until you drive it directly after a Macan. And even then, it only really feels heavy by comparison. However, that reduced weight can be felt in every aspect of the driving experience for the Macan, because not only is it more nimble and tossable, it's also just downright fun. The lower weight also helps out with acceleration. The base Macan takes 6.3 seconds to go from 0 to 60 for this 2021 model, and that is 1.1 seconds faster than my 2012 Cayenne and a very respectably quick time. And that's despite being 52 horsepower down from my 2012. It is more than quick enough to put a smile on your face despite being an SUV. Oh, let's go for this. That's so dumb. That is so dumb. Now, it is worth noting that the newer Cayennes are similarly quick to 60 as the Macans, but they do come at a higher price point, so if you're comparing to an older Cayenne, it'll probably be very similar. But with all this said, the only time I have ever considered selling my Cayenne in the last half of a decade was when I was considering purchasing a Macan S, because it is probably 90% of the same comfort with so much more of the playfulness that I love about driving cars when I'm taking the back roads home after a long day at the office. I've also had a chance to drive a Macan off-road, and I do think it has a little bit less off-road prowess than the Cayenne, but it's still better than most, if not all, of the competitors in the same class. The towing capacity of the Macan is also more than half of the Cayenne's, rated at 4,409 pounds, which is a very respectable figure and more than enough for the vast majority of people. It is also better than the towing capacity of a 2025 Ford Maverick with the towing package, which, depending on your price point, is a pretty solid point of reference. So here's really the big takeaway. Both of these are absolutely phenomenal options. If you like comfort, if you like a vehicle with great handling and driver engagement, even if you just want safety, these vehicles are extraordinarily hard to beat for this price point, especially when you are looking on the used market. The Cayenne is ultimately the bigger, smoother, more luxurious vehicle with a quieter cabin, so if you need the space, ultimately that one is probably going to be the option if you are only between these two, but there are other SUVs out there which offer much more interior room. The Macan, on the other hand, has less interior space, but if you quote-unquote need an SUV, which you don't, you just probably want one, but you still want some nimble sportiness, you still want that good driving experience, then the Macan's probably for you. It's a lot more tossable, and in my opinion, that makes it a little bit more fun. Parts will be similarly expensive for both vehicles, reliability is going to be generally good on both of these, and they are both an absolute pleasure to drive. So as long as you do your due diligence before buying one of these, quite honestly, either is a great choice that you probably won't regret. There are studies that estimate up to 10% of a person's life is spent driving. So really ask yourself, is it worth that plunge to enjoy 10% of your life that much more? Half a decade ago, I made that choice, and since then, I have not looked back once. And with that, thank you for watching.